What's up, everybody? GeauxBurns here. Going to share my thoughts regarding the How to Plan a Heist video up on IGN. It is linked below in the description section, along with a 14-second little teaser regarding Heist that is up on the Grand Theft Auto 5 Facebook page, both of which are very interesting, along with an IGN article. I love the title. They're real and they're spectacular. It's a Seinfeld reference. So anyways, some of the guys from IGN, they got to go play heists, and they broke it down. One of the specific heists was raid on Humane Labs, and this is a pretty big deal. Now, there's 5 setup missions leading up to the heist, which is the 6th mission. And a lot of you already know about a lot of the stuff you're going to have to do in heists already. You have a crew with 4 people, a leader, the one that puts down the money. I think in this case it was about $57,000 or $60,000 in order to do the heist. They don't get paid until the very end of the entire 2.5, 3-hour arc of this heist. That's right. These heists are going to take you about 3 hours to complete, maybe a little bit more for the first time around. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of time. So you want to get yourself and 3 other friends or crewmates that are willing to invest 3 hours at the very least in doing this entire 6-part heist arc. So you got the leader, puts down the money, basically does a lot of the planning. While he or she does not get paid until the very end, all the other 3 members of the crew do get paid with each setup. So every time you finish a setup, depending on how much is divvied out percent-wise, you will get a certain amount of money. For example, you might end up with $20,000 for each part of the setup you do. So you do the first setup, 20 grand, second, 20, 20, 20, 20, which is what, about $100,000? That's before getting into the heist, so that's not too shabby. But let's talk about some of the things that I saw and I witnessed in this 20-something minute video. And I'm going to try and keep my discussion a lot shorter than 20 minutes, obviously, because I just want to give you guys the cliff notes. So throughout each of these setup heist checkpoints are in each mission. So that's really cool. You got checkpoints, so you get to this certain point, your team dies, you fail, you start back over at the checkpoint instead of having to start all the way back over at the beginning of each setup. So that's really cool. And you have shared lives. You know how in missions you have only a certain amount of lives down at the bottom, whether you put it on normal or hard, you get 2 or you get 1 life. But the difference is if one person dies after the shared lives are all gone, then the mission fails. So all 4 heist members have to survive throughout the entire setup. Throughout all 5 setups, they have to survive to the very end in order to complete each setup. And you have to survive number 6, which is the big heist. So you got some lives, 1 or 2 extra lives, but they're shared once again, just like in the missions, and you cannot die. So all 4 players have to make it to the very end, or you have to start over at the last checkpoint. So anyways, let's talk about the setups for a raid on Humane Labs, which is the one they did. The payout would be over $500,000, $540,000. What you do is you go and you meet the IAA for the setup. You get some key cards. The leader and the buyer has the money to give to the IA. Then you have a bodyguard who's also the driver. Then you have 2 lookouts. Each are stationed in different points. So as you well know, if Grand Theft Auto Online and most of the Grand Theft Auto series, you go do a mission and things go wrong. So the FIB shows up, you have to kill a whole bunch of FIB guys, and the lookouts basically have to provide covering fire, allowing the driver and the bodyguard and the leader to get away. So you get away, you get back to the safe house. By the way, you will need a high life safe house with a heist planning room, so make sure that the leader has that. If you don't have it, then you might as well go buy one. Next is stealing the Insurgents. So this is pretty cool. You drive down to the quarry, you and your team, and there's 2 versions of the Insurgents, which is the armored vehicle that you probably see on the screen. And the 2 versions, one obviously has the 50 caliber machine gun, and the other version doesn't have it. And that's the version you want. You can steal both versions, but the version you need is the one without the gun. But the one with the gun is a lot of fun. So you want to probably take both of them, take 3 people down there, have 2 people in the Insurgent with the 50 cal, have someone on the back shooting at the Meriwether Maces and the Buzzard attack helicopters that are going to be coming after you. Then the other 2 crewmates, they jump into the other Insurgent. One is the driver once again, the other one shooting at maces or trying to blow them up with grenades and, of course, sticky bombs, whatever you happen to have on hand. You drive to the safe house, I believe, or to a checkpoint, and you secure the insurgent without losing anybody in the heist. And of course, you complete the stealing the insurgents part of the heist arc. The third mission is the EMP, which is a pretty big mission. This is the one that involves the aircraft carrier and the Hydra. So you go out to this location, you get on a dinghy, and you go to the back of the big, giant, huge aircraft carrier. You sneak on board, you climb your way up to the top of the flight deck of the aircraft carrier, killing sailors and SEAL teams or whatever's aboard the aircraft carrier all the way up to the top. And then, of course, there are going to be several jets on the flight deck. I think 3 of them are like lasers for your other crewmates to jump into. And, of course, the Hydra. That's right, the Mammoth Hydra. That has the EMP weapon on it. You'll need the Hydra. So you jump in the Hydra, your friends jump in the laser. You get off, you coordinate your takeoff from the aircraft carrier because you don't want to crash into each other. And it gets fun from there because all of a sudden there's going to be waves and waves of bogeys coming after you. So you have to take out all these bogeys of enemy aircraft. And once you take them out, then you can go land the Hydra safely at Sandy Shores Airfield out by Sandy Shores. And apparently, a Danger Zone starts to play by Kenny Loggins after you take out all the bogeys. So that's pretty fitting, homage to Top Gun. Then the fourth mission is the Valkyrie. That's right, that awesome helicopter gunship with the 2 big miniguns on the side. You got to steal that out of the port of Los Santos. As with all these other vehicles, the Insurgents and, of course, the Hydra, well guarded. That's right, Meriwether Mercs are guarding the Valkyrie attack helicopter. It's at the port of Los Santos, as I mentioned, so you have to kind of coordinate. You gotta have to plan ahead. You go in, you take out as many of the Meriwether Mercs as possible. There's a whole bunch of them. And then eventually you get to the Valkyrie, you jump in, you and your other 3 teammates, a co-pilot, and 2 gunners. And then, of course, you got to take out a whole bunch of buzzards coming after you and shooting rockets at you. And once you do that, then you're able to successfully fly off to the final checkpoint, and you've completed the 4th arc of the heist. Then the 5th one, the 5th part, is planting the EMP at Humane Labs, which involves the Insurgent. So you put the EMP and the Insurgent, and you sneak into Humane Labs with suppressor pistols only. So you had to kind of kill the guards and scientists without anyone raising the alarm. By the way, it is a timed mission, so you have to do all this within a certain amount of time. So you go in with the with the Insurgent with the MP in it, and you do this little mini game. Do the hacking, the access code into the garage. You park it in the access code garage, and then you steal a Humane Labs van, and then you get out of there before the time expires. And then, of course, you've completed the 5th and final setup for the big heist mission. Now, of course, the big heist mission, stealing the data that the IA wants you to steal for them, which will net you $540,000. There's going to be 2 teams here, 2 support teams, which are going to be in the Valkyrie. You're going to have a pilot and one of the gunners. Then, of course, the other 2 are going to be part of the ground team, which jump out of the Valkyrie. Once you get close enough to Humane Labs, you parachute out of the Valkyrie. You land in. You go inside with sniper rifles or pistols. And, obviously suppressors are more appropriate because you want to be all stealthy-like. So you go in, you kill the guards and stuff. You sneak in. You steal the data. You jump into the sewers or a water stream or something. And then you make it to the beach. Then you use your flare gun after you've used your night vision goggles and a rebreather, which helps you breathe underwater while you're underwater for the ground team. Meanwhile, the Valkyrie team, the support team, is in the air blasting helicopters out of the sky, creating a lot of fun and fireworks. And, of course, once you and the other part of your ground team gets to the beach, then you use the flare gun to signify the Valkyrie crew where you're at. So they come in, they pick you up. You fight off a couple more buzzards and Valkyries, and once you've killed all the enemy helicopters, then you're able to fly off and land to the location. You hand the data over to the IAA. They give you money, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, it is over. You get the big heist payout. About 2.5, 3 hours tops, that's what IGN said. Depending on how experienced you are at doing the heist. So the first time, you're probably going to die a couple times. You're probably going to have to restart a couple times. So get used to that idea. But it looks like it was a lot of fun from what they were saying in the article I read. It was intense, fun. And this was just one of 5 heists. That's right. There are going to be 5 heists total, along with a raid on Humane Labs. And this looks like the more difficult one because it has a lot of big stuff you got to do. Like I mentioned, we have checkpoints throughout each mission. Of course, you have shared lives, and once they're gone, they're gone. You have 5 setup missions where all 3 members of the team besides the leader gets payouts at the end of each setup. It just depends on how much of the percentage it's going to be. You might get 20,000 per setup, which is not bad. And of course, communication is very important, so you want to make sure that everybody on your team has a headset, or at the very least can hear you whenever you're shouting out orders if you happen to be the leader. So that's the basics on the Humane Labs raid, broken down in half the time. It only took them 20-something minutes. I did it in about 10 minutes. Anyways, one more thing they mentioned at the very end. This bonus called Criminal Mastermind. And what this is you have to complete all 5 heists with the same crewmates, the same friends, without dying. And if you can do this, you'll get $10 million. So that's pretty cool. Criminal Mastermind. If you can accomplish that, then you're going to be even wealthier in Grand Theft Auto Online when it comes to Heist, coming out on March 10th, 2015, this coming Tuesday.